Hi, my name is Ryan Snyder, and I will be talking about my position and researching my position and my thought process as of today, because it changes. So, how I started in kind of the teaching realm is I started as a personal trainer, as a strength and conditioning coach for both people from anywhere from like 15 to 65, I think was my lowest client at one point. And my process was always assess, don't guess. I didn't know what they could and couldn't do, and I let them tell me by moving or whatever assessments I had. And I had used the same with teaching. I don't assume to know anything about a student. I sometimes, before I meet the students or the group of students, I do take into consideration what colleagues have told me, but I don't try to let it cloud my assessment of them when I meet them and when I see them, especially when it comes to literacy rate, content knowledge, prior experience, or just how they're going to behave in my class, because I do have a different approach than certain colleagues, or I might, I don't know, be able to connect with them differently, so that might matter. But when it comes to seeing them, I want as much information as possible, both inside and outside the classroom, because I think context matters. I want to know the why. If I have a kid in first period and he's late every day, I want to know why. Instead of me harping on him being late, I want to know what is going on that's making him that way. Is it the traffic? Does he have to drive a long way? Does his dad have to go to work at a certain time? There's all kinds of things that can inform how I interact with the student, and I want to know as much as I can. I believe and always will believe that narrative, context, nuance, kind of the story matters when it comes to talking to teenagers. Everyone has a story to tell. Everyone's telling themselves a story as well, but I want to know the reality of the situation. I see them possibly for an hour a day. I want to know what's happening the other 23. That's going to allow me, that's going to inform the best way for me to teach them. My two key questions about education is, what are the last 24 plus months gonna look like going forward? What does that mean for literacy rates? What does that mean for students who missed third and fourth grade, which are key grades when it comes to reading and writing? What does it look like? What does the student population look like? How is that gonna work? What are we going to be talking about? We'll be talking more about mental health and social emotional awareness in classrooms. Are we going to be focused on academic standards and rigor, or are we going to be looking at kind of a new wave and a new look of students? What are we going to be talking about? How are we going to be talking to them? How are we going to be talking to us? Because all that matters, because we basically reinvented the wheel when it came to teaching in 2021 and late 2020 and early 2021, and they missed 2 years of school. And what does that look like? Because kids missed formative years. A kid went from being in sixth grade to not going into class for 2 years and being a freshman in high school. And that's a huge leap. It's a huge leap from going to eighth grade to ninth grade. It's a bigger leap to go from sixth grade to staring at a computer screen for 24 months and being like, oh, hey, now you're at a high school. So that's huge. The other one is why. Why are we so resistant to change as educators? We buck and we have kind of the standards. We have this sometimes we have this closed door policy, and I feel that resistance to change is slowing growth and actually hurting students, and we're not producing the best students we can because of that. As my kind of research paradigm and my fit in the paradigm, I definitely fall kind of in between positive and interpretivism. I don't want to give society that much credit and say that they shape the individual, because I think that just gives it too much credit, that you're just kind of born into a situation, that's kind of it. However, I don't want to dismiss it either. So I definitely kind of fall in the middle. I don't think, I think people can overcome, but some situations are difficult. I mean, this is as a white guy named Ryan, so I understand that that's a hard pill to swallow, but yeah, sometimes situations are grave and there's unimaginable poverty in places and it's hard to get out, and I get it. So I do fall right in the middle between, does society shape us or do we shape society? It's as a group we do, but not as an individual. I drive an electric car, I'm not saving the environment, one hybrid at a time. When it comes to research, I'm a little more of a pragmatist. I think both matter. I think when it comes to data, I can make numbers and stats and whatever say anything. As a sports fan, I can make arguments that say that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is the greatest basketball player ever because he scored the most points, or Bill Russell is the greatest basketball player ever because he won 11 championships. Well, the context is that Bill Russell played against 12 other teams and played in the 60s, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar played for 22 years. So yeah, that's how that's going to happen. That context matters. So I think you need a little bit of both. You can't just say, here are the numbers, here's this is your teaching needs to change, these students need this based on the standardized tests, and it's just like, no, I need more. I need to know, was that student a good test taker? What was happening that day? What does that look like? We can't just look at numbers. They're not just a number. This is not just test 68421. No, this is the person. Okay, this is for a Fight Club reference. This is Robert Paulson. This is a person that went through the world and had to do this thing, and so that context kind of matters, and especially with students and especially with teenagers, that context and that story matters, not just necessarily in terms of what they did that day, but everything, how they were feeling, what they were going through the last 2 years, what they eat, all that stuff. Context, nuance matters, and especially when we're talking about education. It's a multifaceted kind of big ball of yarn, and we can't just be pulling at one string. We have to kind of be looking at a lot of different solutions and trying them all at once rather than just trying one. I tend to ask a lot of questions about why we do things in education, especially with teachers. When I would observe teachers, one of my favorite questions is why? Why do you do this? What's your thought process? Because I think that matters. I think that, like, do you have something to back it up? And is it, well, they work better in groups. This idea is a little bit different when kids tackle it individually or together. And I think that matters. And I think that's important to talk about, because when we don't ask why and we just kind of fall into the trap of doing things because we've always done them, you fall into a trap of never growing. It takes work just to stand still. It takes work just to be stagnant. You're either going forward or going backwards. And so I think in education, we tend to, I say we, like, I've been in the game for a long time, but I think as educators, it's easy to fall into a trap of just being like, oh, it's October 2nd. This is what I'm going to take out of the box, and this is what we're doing today. I'm just not growing and not looking at who we're working with, and not looking at the tools we need to give them and the scaffolding that we need to provide, but just kind of doing the same things we've always done them. Thank you, and have a great day.